The wait is over. You were waiting, right?
Oh, God. No. Please, no.
The end is nigh. Darwin and Cat are back.
After our consultant, Poodles, disrupted the harmony of our friendship, we started getting a little bit aggressive toward each other.
Well, we were flying high. We were best of friends on the air and in real life, but that crack had formed. And then everything started to break apart. At first, Darwin, the things we were doing to each other, I think, were subtle.
We just started doing little things. So there was one day you were getting on my nerves a little bit, and I was just really annoyed and in a mood, and I was a little gassy. You went to the bathroom, and you were the only one in there. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what went through my mind that possessed me to do this, but I heard you were getting ready to go out, and I had this really big fart. I knew
it was brewing.
It was ready to roll. And I went over to your desk drawer and I opened up your drawer and I just let it go. And I quickly shut your drawer and I scurried over to my desk because I heard you were coming out of the bathroom.
I come out from the bathroom.
Kat, do you have a pen?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's one in my desk. And I opened my desk and it smelled like the Bronx Zoo.
And you were like, what is this?
What the hell? Armageddon in my desk.
And Kelly gave me up. Darwin just farted in your drawer. It was disgusting. And you were like, why would you do that? It's like, well, you annoyed me this morning. I mean, it was just so rude. It was just so mean, right? It was just so mean.
You know, it is kind of funny, though.
I mean, it is.
All these years later, I'm laughing right now, but it was...
Okay. I tell people that story and I laugh now because it was so immature. But it's kind of funny. Like, how were you guys fighting? What went wrong? I'm like, one time I farted in her drawer.
Then didn't we have some sort of bet? And you lost and you had to get your ass waxed?
No, you did that to me. Yes, you did. What was the bet? I don't remember, but I lost a bet and you no idea. I was so cocksure I was going to win it. And that's why I agreed to this. And much to my surprise, I lost hardcore. And you had like some waxing person on speed dial. Wasn't this person? Yeah, you went to go see?
She was well, no, I just read some Yelp reviews and she had reviews that she was particularly sadistic. There was a lot of screaming on your end. Do you remember?
Oh, a lot.
You were on a table in the studio. Were you up on all fours like a doggy?
No, I was not. I was laying on my stomach and I had to drop trowel. Yeah, this might have been the most weird thing I did in our whole show, I think.
I think her name was like Broom Helga. Did she live up to her Yelp reviews?
It was, well, first of all, the first thing she says is, oh, usually I have men trim a little before we do this.
Usually the men trim. You are a wild forest, I think were her exact words.
Something, she really was like, she goes, this might hurt a little bit because it's a lot to pull. She took the little, I don't know, the wax and she plugged in the little dip thing and put it on the strip and she's sticking the strips in there.
Away.
And then you said something, but then you got me laughing. And she's like, you got to hold still.
There was a lot of screaming.
You looked at me. Well, you looked at my ass and you said, I think the funniest thing I've ever heard you say.
It looks like you sat on a small dog.
And I couldn't stop laughing. And here I am all these years later to snort laughing.
There was a little Pomeranian down there, Darwin.
I'm Italian, all right?
I am too, and I get it. Believe me.
And when she called the first, it was like I heard it rip. I felt and heard like...
It was like Pangea breaking apart.
It was absolutely... Oh... And I looked, because we did a supercut of audio. I actually took, it was about 2 minutes of me screaming. Mm-hmm. And I remember laying there thinking, I deserved this. I deserved every second of this. And it was a moment of, I want you to know, mm-hmm. I had a moment of, what's the word I want here? Humbling? Yes. Laying there, bare ass, with parts of me being ripped off.
With fuzzy tape everywhere.
Fuzzy? Fuzzy, I would use a much stronger word than fuzzy.
Yeah, fuzzy's a little too cute for this.
This was like, my God. So, but afterward, it was a little, she said, you got to lotion it up and all this, take care. All right. I'm not going to lie.
Now this is starting to sound like Silence of the Lambs.
I kind of liked it. I'm not going to lie. Afterward, not the process.
No,
Let me make that clear.
No judgment here, yeah.
But once it kind of wasn't so tender, I liked it. It was kind of smooth and easy to take care of, if you know what I mean. Like I was like, remember like a week later, I'm like, I think I might have this done regularly. I never did it again.
You never went back to her?
No. And I thought she was your regular person until now. I didn't know you just found her through the.
God, no. No.
No, you wouldn't do that to your regular, right?
Hell no. So we kept escalating these pranks. Like just like
they just kept getting
they
worse.
just kept getting worse and worse. Do you remember how much you hated my hat? Well, let me back up.
Your hat.
My hat. So my natural hair is like this Mediterranean Sicilian wild fro. And some days, to hide the beast that lives on my head, I would wear a hat. And my favorite hat was a beret.
Oh, I hated that hat.
You hated this thing. I don't know why, but this was your sworn enemy. And I wore it to hide what was going on in my head. And you walked in and you said, "Ooh, that hat. Cat, you look like a homeless French hooker." Do you remember saying that?
Yeah, I do. I did. That was me.
But here's the prank part. You got half a dozen of our coworkers to drop by the studio, and one by one they would say, "Hey, what's up with that hat? You look special."
Well, you wouldn't take it off.
Well, no, because I had to hide what was going on. So
no, you didn't.
So by the time Big Ray from Jams pops by to say, "Hey, Kat, tell me about that hat," I just exploded. I was like, "Darwin, what the fuck with my hat? What?
Well,
What?"
I needed the hat to go. I hated that hat. I couldn't look at you with the hat on.
But why? I mean, all these years, why? Is there a reason?
Yes. I never explained the hat thing. All right.
No.
So I got hit by a car when I was in college, and that's why I hate the hat.
Please explain.
Okay, there's more. Okay. I was working for a radio station and out there, and I was also in college and blah, blah, blah. So I went to go get a coffee. I'm in a crosswalk in Flagstaff. I'm wearing electric yellow pants and a bright red t-shirt.
So people can see you.
You could have seen me with the Hubble from space. And this woman hits me at a red light, and I jump on the hood of her car, and she gets out of her car, and she's yelling at me to get off her car. There happened to be a cop right there, and the cop's like, "Why did you hit him?" And she goes, "I didn't see him." She was wearing that hat, that damn hat.
She was wearing a beret.
She was wearing the same hat, and she goes like, "I didn't see him." I'm like, "Bitch, how could you not see me? They can see me." I actually said, "They can see me from space." And I was, and so I every time I saw the hat, I thought, "How do you not see me?" And it brought me back to getting hit by a car.
So you were oddly fixated on the hat because a woman in a hat ran you over.
Yeah.
My stupid French hat was your trauma trigger?
Yeah. I had problems back then, okay?
I had no idea.
Yeah, actually today, I think I still see people in that hat, and I might a little bit cringe, a little bit.
Okay.
But
had I worn an Abe Lincoln hat or like one of those stocking caps you see when you go night-night, would you have gotten so psychotically upset over it? It was the beret specifically?
Yeah. The other one I would have thought was a little odd. I'm like, that's a little weird, but whatever. You wear it. It's cool. You could have worn a yarmulke. I thought it was cool.
I could have worn like a Viking helmet.
Sure. Why not? Could have worn one of those hats with beer cans on both sides. I don't care. So yeah, it was the berets. But it was such a stupid explanation that I mean, I could have just been an adult, right? I could have just said, "Kat, the bitch that hit me with her car when you could have seen me, easily, like, I have this thing with a hat. Could you just pick a different?" I could have said that. Of course.
Right? And you know what I would have done, Darwin? I would have taken my obnoxious French hat off, tossed it aside like a Frisbee, and I would have rocked my fro all day. Just use your words.
But I think it was a transference, right? I had all this built up resentment. We had this awful boss, and we had this stuff going on, and we had the poodles that had come in, and I was doing all the production. I was doing all the scheduling. I was running the board. But the mature thing would have been to ask for help. Yeah. But instead, I decided to channel all of that and like I said, fixate on the hat.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you remember dropping things in my purse to make me look like a psychotic kleptomaniac? Specifically, you put the office stapler in my purse for a solid year.
And the tape dispenser. Yes, I loved that.
I think there was a label maker in there at one point.
No, wait. That wasn't meant to be mean, I just thought it was funny because you would never notice random shit in your purse.
That's true.
ever.
I don't know what's in there even to this day.
Yeah, like, and I'm just annoying like that. I'm still annoying like that today. Like I thought you actually found it funny. We'd be at the diner, you'd reach into your giant purse, and there'd be like a stapler. And I thought it was still something we could share a little. I didn't realize you thought I was trying to make you look like a psychotic kleptomaniac.
I've just
But
been
it makes
curious.
sense.
I've been curious for all these years.
No, it was just me being a dumbass. Because it was just funny.
No,
Because
it's true.
toward the end, I stopped doing that.
Yeah. No, you're totally right. But the wrecking ball, you're right, was a huge part of our issues. And I don't know if you know this part, but he used to take me off site. We'd go out to lunch, drive me around, and he would always say, we need to kick Darwin off the show, that you were a monster. He used to say that I have battered co-host syndrome. Imagine that shelter, a safe space with like cots with weeping co-hosts. That's what he wanted me to believe that I was.
You never told me that, but I believe it because you ready for this?
Yeah.
He would do the same thing with me.
What?
He was doing everything he could to convince me we needed to march into the boss and get rid of you.
That I was the bad one?
Yeah, you were dragging me
No,
down.
he said that
I was
about
the star.
you.
It doesn't. I mean, by the way, for those who haven't heard a couple episodes, the Wrecking Ball is the name we used for a boss that was there very short term, who caused it. We're going to do a whole episode on him, but yeah, I mean, I'm not shocked. This is how he operated. Yeah, it was always, you were, it was like you were an anchor and I was doing great when I was solo and why, you can't do anything, but it was driving the resentment. I mean, think about the hat thing, right? Even though I didn't respect him or believe him, it's planting a seed of doubt, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And my mind is blown.
You didn't know that.
I shouldn't be shocked, but I am. He was just a mean girl who was just taking us aside. Well, he said, no, 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 no. And she said, no, 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 no. Oh my God. He's such a sixth grader.
That's why we have a whole episode coming up
What?
on him.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. Well, it
It's
just got to
something.
the point where I don't know. I think you just hated everything I did, even the way I turned off the lights in the studio or turned on the lights in the studio.
I mean, to be fair, you were never good with electronics.
Well, that's actually true.
And there was one morning I was a little hungover and they were dimmer lights and you did kind of sort of turn them on full blast. And I think that might have been a little passive aggressive on your part because I kind of deserved it and you knew I was miserable. I mean, I wouldn't blame you, but that's the word, miserable. I mean, I was miserable. You're right.
I wasn't exactly little orphan Annie looking forward to tomorrow either.
No, and but here's the thing, I was like, you kept trying, to give you credit. I mean, you showed up, you kept trying. And I want to say that the crash part, which is not the funniest part of our show, I think we can laugh at it now.
Oh, totally. I'm totally healed from that. It still causes me a little because we weren't friends for quite a while, but I'm like, whatever. It's in the past.
I also think it speaks volumes where we were able to fix that
Yes.
and move on.
Yes.
I hate that it happened. I
I do
really
too.
do. But I also look at it like this, like that's how far we were pushed, but we were able to get over it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it was actually a shorter period of time than we realized that things were falling apart.
When I think about it, was it only about a year?
I think it was even shorter than a year. I think it was not that we weren't, like, putting aside the breakup, right?
Yeah.
That we didn't talk. The breakdown was less than a year, I feel like.
It hit me so hard, Darwin. I don't know if I told you this, but it hit me as hard as my divorce. It was really bad. Oh God, I'm going to get all emotional now.
No, we don't have to cry.
I better drink
too
my
much.
Rianiti or something.
Oh, that's classy. On ice? Is it on ice?
It's nice. No,
All
but
right.
it hit me. It hit me really, really hard.
And I had a lot of guilt. We will get through this at some point. I had a lot of guilt from it too.
Yep.
But I was also in a crap spot in life. I mean, let's not forget either. We both were in challenging relationships at home. We were not in relationships that were good for us or our spouses at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I was going through a really deep depression. And I had a head injury from a concussion that definitely impacted my mood and mental state. Like I had a smorgasbord of problems.
Back up. You had a head injury?
Yeah.
You did our morning show with head trauma?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you never mentioned this to me?
No, I mean,
why bring that up? I mean, we just talk to each other for a living. Why would I bring up that I'm missing my temporal lobes?
remember when I moved out of the crazy ladies apartment, I got that concussion, like I hit my head.
Yeah.
I was so bad I peed the bed and couldn't wake me up and
Yeah,
all
but I
that.
didn't think it would affect our show.
It did.
Oh,
So
that.
Yeah, it's called PCS, post-concussion syndrome and concussion syndrome. So that's when a concussion can take years to heal and was affecting my mood and my emotional state. So I didn't bring it up because, and this is kind of that weird part of sometimes you get into a depression and you get into a bad spot, was I felt like I was blaming everything that I was doing bad on a concussion, which is irrational.
But there might have been something to it.
Well, there was. Absolutely, there was. Anything I was doing that was irrational or didn't seem to be in line with, and plus the lack of sleep and all those things, that was from that, basically, head trauma.
I wish I would have known. We could have made a bit out of it.
What?
I don't know, some sort of call-in Darwin's head trauma contest.
Yeah, because that was totally a good idea to do with somebody who's a little unstable with a head trauma.
No,
Just poke the beast a little bit, right? But I mean,
sometimes when you jiggle the handle, things start working again.
But I didn't at the time. That's kind of the double-edged sword there, isn't it? When you have something like that, you don't know how to acknowledge, like you can't confront that's a problem.
I wish I would have known because, we needed to be in a united front again.
We did have a brief reunited front. When we get to the episode about the wrecking ball, we did just, that fracture, would you get rid of him? The fracture was already there.
Yeah, well, the fracture was in your head, apparently. I had no idea.
Yeah, this is true. But I'm all better now.
Wow.
You found it. One of the 7 signs of the apocalypse. Darwin and Cat are back. Darwin and Cat.
So as the show went on, we started to take a lot more creative control over our show. We started to meet people in the area, people we really liked. And one of the people we met was a guy named Carmine Spiro.
Oh, I love Carmine. Chef Carmine. He's been on Food Network. He's a very well-known chef, not just in the Northeast, but all over. Really, really talented chef.
And a great person. Every year for Christmas, he would give us a giant tray of food just as a Christmas gift to bring in. Remember the calamar?
Oh,
the giant.
God. Yeah.
Mwah, beautiful. And he just did it out of the kindness of his heart. Great guy. He started a daily reality show based on his restaurant. It was so cool. So we called him up. We said, we have an idea. And we started pitching our own promos. And I always thought this was kind of fun that we were able to do this. And we said, for Valentine's Day, we want to do a contest where we can get some listeners onto your show with us and do a competition, like win the VD for VD, or we made it some like innuendo, semi-filthy name.
Win a big scorching VD.
For Valentine's Day, yeah. He went for the idea. We were going to be on his reality show, and it was a special episode. It was so cool. I have parts of it somewhere, by the way.
I'd love to see that.
It kind of started to go a little sideways because, again, this is during that era where we were flying high. The show was doing great, but all these things behind the scenes were really pushing all this pressure on us. It was supposed to be really friendly, but we got intense.
Oh, the tension between us was horrible. I mean, I was chopping an onion like I was murdering a hobo. Do you remember?
I do.
We were on, we'll set it up. I mean, we were on separate teams. We were having a cooking competition. And instead of Darwin and Cat being on the same team, we were competing against each other, which just bizarrely ratcheted up more of the tension in a cooking competition.
And it was live to tape. It was live to tape.
Right.
Right. So it was as if we're live. And he had a set built in his restaurant. So we had listeners there too. So we had to it's almost like, the old I Love Lucy episodes where where Lucy has gotten into Ricky's act and it's on live TV or something and
Yes.
their antics are going on. I felt like it was kind of like that, wasn't it? Where we couldn't be obvious about it, but it was kind of obvious.
There was a conveyor belt of chocolates going by and we just wanted to shove them down each other's throat and murder each other.
It was, we got intense. So I had 2 girls and you had 2 guys and it was the four winners of the contest. And I
Lucky
remember, I'm trying to remember what your guys did wrong. I remember one of the girls I had, but these were people who could not cook. That was the idea behind it. I remember one of mine.
Yeah, I do remember one of mine saying, I've never held a knife. I don't know how to make peanut butter and jelly. I had a bummer team.
Yeah, one of mine bought a crock pot and one of those meals that you just open the bag and dump it in the crock pot and turn it on.
Imagine bringing a crock pot to a cooking competition. You dump everything in and it's like, you know what, you guys, let's just come back in 9 hours.
She forgot to turn it on or something and she came home and it was like green and then she put it in the fridge and tried to cook it the next day and it was another one that I think the other one I remember there was exploded lasagna in the oven and glass and cheese were everywhere. I just remember that being a story.
I like it crunchy. Yeah.
It was not good. So these were all these people entered the contest. Remember, nobody was entering the contest, and then we got all these entries in the last 48 hours.
Yes. So what do you remember from actually being their competition?
I remember my team had to make scallops, and I had only made them once. And I remember you have to do something with like the part of your hand between your thumb and your finger and the feeling of it. And I was just like, and one of the girls was terrified to touch the raw fish.
She's
and
like,
I just,
it feels like dead flesh. Well, I mean, kind of.
And I just had to coach through it, and I kind of had to show them how to do it. And Carmine was explaining a little bit, but not. But then watching us, I was like, I've got to do this right because I got to do it right. I got to win. I was so focused on gotta win. And you were too. Because you were I remember you heckling me.
Oh God!
Like you were the heckler from the audience while I was trying to like cook.
Was I like yelling hay batter at you? Like what was I doing?
I just remember you kept inserting little comments and trying to get me up my game, and it was totally working because I was so focused on the damn.
Swing and a miss at that scallop.
And I also remember wearing I pulled up the video and I'm looking at it still, and I just realized on TV I wore the T-shirt that says I have a big banana with a monkey holding a huge banana.
Well, it's food related, right?
Yeah, I guess. And I'm wearing a Boston Red Sox cap that's backward like a douche. Like, why? You won this contest before I actually won it. I won.
Yeah.
But you won based on visuals. You had pink hair, but you won based on visuals here.
I wasn't dressed like Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit. Like you.
That's a little low.
Oh,
You're
break
correct.
stuff.
You're correct, but that's low.
Stings a little bit, doesn't it?
More than a little. Revenge is a dish served cold, right?
With crushed glass in it, like on my team.
Your team was. Yeah, I just remember your team when you lost.
Yeah, well, I lost.
Because you guys took the parsley and like decorated the plate, and I remember Carmine saying, "Oh, this looks like diner food circa 1993." That was the comment. Do you remember that?
Our plating was not sophisticated.
That's where you lost the point. Yeah.
I may have made a happy face with some of the food. That's my plating. And that's true with the way I cook. Hey, it tastes good, but it's plated like a 4-year-old did it.
It came out of us weird competitiveness. No matter what we did, we started competing everywhere. Basically, things started to really go downhill after this.
Yeah, it started with a scallop and it just got worse.
Take a little sunshine, add a touch of rainbows, stir in a happy sound, that's how our day goes.
Darwin and Cat. Aw, look, they're all grown up. They have mortgages now and back pain.
So going on in this time period and what felt like a year later, and I think it might have been maybe, I don't remember the timeline, our relationship deteriorated so bad, I quit. Like I legit just quit. And I think it was the meanest thing I'd ever done to you. I didn't tell you, and you know this, sir. It was horrible. I will say flat out, it was the biggest asshole move I've ever pulled in my life.
You walked off the show.
I did.
It's
It was
gone.
really hard to talk about. I was it. I didn't, and the worst part was you knew it. So there's a tradition in radio. The first song you play is your last song. And our first song, On the Edge, was not in rotation at that point. You knew when I played it, because you played it as your last song for Good Luck. And you looked at me and you said, "Oh, the quitting song."
Yeah. What's going on here, Darwin?
And you knew. And actually other people in the office knew because I accidentally left my email open on the computer. So other people that morning knew there was an email sitting there that had come in. So somebody on Fly had saw me in the hallway and had looked at my damn email on my desk and said, "You're quitting?" And I looked and I was like, "Well, what are you talking about?" I'm like, "Oh my God, dude, I have not told Kat. You cannot say anything." But I kind of did tell you, but not. And that turned into, they didn't let me leave for 2 weeks. I had to go to meet with the owner every day where he was trying to talk me into staying, and I should have stayed. He gave me a lot of good reasons to stay, and based on, and we're not even ever going to get into the story of what happens after that point. I should have stayed.
Yeah.
But also it was not the right thing to do. It was like, I was the dad who went to go get milk
Where's Dad?
and never came back.
It's been 20 minutes. Is he coming back? No, Susie,
And
he's not coming back.
And I am forever sorry because that was terrible to do to you. You didn't deserve that.
Thank you.
No matter how bad we were, how much we were fighting, no matter how much I think at that point we started to borderline hate each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I deserved to be hated by you the day I walked off the show.
It's hard to talk about. So this show is our baby. This is the show we created at my kitchen table. And you were gone. Our friendship was dead. I mean, the wrecking ball, his plans had come to fruition, right?
And he was gone.
Yeah. His plan worked even without him being there. And with you
By the way, and I thought you would be okay. I thought they would get someone to run the board and you would be fine because you're funny. And I thought you would have been fine.
with you not there, they brought in the night guy to run the board, and management said to me, "Hey, Kat, we have a really special guest star to sit in with you and be your co-host for the next 3 days." And I'm like, I'm so stunned at this point. I'm like, okay, cool. Who is it? Greg Fitzsimmons.
Greg Fitzsimmons?
Yep.
Like the Greg Fitzsimmons, like from Letterman, Bill Maher, that gets
Yeah.
Greg Fitzsimmons?
Famous guy. And he was big then too. You know, he's a New York guy, and he was up in Albany to plug some gigs he was doing. And somehow our management convinced him to come in at 5 a.m. and co-host with me. And Darwin, you know me, I'm excited. I'm like, oh, cool. I actually really think he's a great comic. I was really excited to do this. So I'm like, yeah, let's go for it. But things quickly changed the moment I saw him in the parking lot. He looked annoyed, but I get it. Like, it's early. It's 5 a.m. Like, who's going to be excited? It all went downhill from there.
Well, you dealt with me early in the morning, so it should have been right. It should have been like,
I'm like, I can handle this.
Interject a second. When
Yeah.
you're telling me this, you're the comedian on this show, and you were the comedian on our show. I can say funny stuff. You're the funny one.
Oh,
Why are they bringing in another comedian? That doesn't always,
because I have to. Well, thank you for saying that. But Greg is a really established, funny stand-up guy. I've done a lot of onstage improv and done radio, but I'm not really a stand-up.
You're funnier.
Well, you're very sweet. But I
think so.
Thank you. I was so stoked, that he was coming in. Remember when I said they were sending in a night guy to push the buttons?
Yeah.
He didn't just push the buttons. He steamrolled over me, and he wouldn't shut the fuck up about sports and Nickelback and whatever stupid off-topic shit he was throwing out. And then there's Fitzsimmons across from me, looking like a hostage.
So he was almost auditioning to be the morning show in a weird way, wasn't he?
I don't know.
Without officially auditioning.
Yeah, it probably was a test show when I think about it. I mean, but there was the way the show was going with him, there was no rhyme or reason to it. I mean, Fitzsimmons doesn't know me. He thinks, that he's just roped into some typical morning zoo. And it really seemed like it with the night guy sitting there at the helm, just like, like yucking it up with sound effects. It was so horrible. So he starts filibustering about something. I just took over and I said, hey, Greg's appearing tonight through Sunday at Albany's Chocolate Farm or whatever the fuck. And I throw it to Greg, and Darwin, he has nothing. He has one-word answers like, yes, no, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Albany's fun. And he's staring at me like Damien in a church. It was horrifying. I wanted to die. And then we did it again for the next 2 days. It was the most horrible radio I've ever done, probably that anyone's ever heard. After it was all over, though, he did invite me to the gigs that we'd been plugging. And I went, and I was in the green room. And he was, he was nice. He picked up a CD, and he signed it for me. I found that CD when I moved. I was unpacking a box. And it said, hey, Kat, hope you get out of Albany soon, Greg.
Wow. How soon did you get out of Albany?
Probably about 8 months later. So Greg Fitzsimmons, I got out of Albany. I'm sorry that you had to sit in on this traumatic mess of a show.
I never knew that was what.
That's what happened.
I couldn't listen to the show. I could have probably streamed it, but I didn't.
No, I'm glad you didn't. You'd be like, ugh. What were you doing at this time? Like, what was going on with you while I'm sitting there dying with a very famous person who hates me?
I fell for a trick. I got approached I got one of those, hey, I think it was one of those, in radio, sometimes you hire someone as a competitor to kind of take out the competition.
Sure.
Kind of why I ended up back where I was.
So you were hired away to knock me out, and we were on
to knock us out. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And we were on
that didn't go well for me.
Correct.
The whole situation. And that's one that is that's a whole other. That's something we just don't even, that's nothing to even relive or talk about.
That's
all,
horrifying.
I don't know if you remember this. You sent me one last email. And when we do our show about things we may never do again, different segments we do, we had a guest on all the time, Jennifer Plovnick, who did our deaf movie reviews. And you sent me one and you said, I thought you would want this.
Oh.
And it was the final deaf movie review. I got it. And I remember replying to you saying, hey, thanks and good luck. And I meant that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I listened to it, I cried
Aw. Oh,
because I realized what I did.
and what we had.
I gave up a good show. I hurt you. But man, if I didn't do that, what would have happened to us, right? You would have lost your mind. Like, or I would have lost my mind. Or they would have flipped the format and fired us.
It
or
wasn't
I don't know. What would have happened? You know what I mean? Like,
it wasn't
something had to break.
It wasn't sustainable unless we would have jumped to a better paying,
Better market.
better market.
And in a weird way, something had to break. I broke it. I didn't break it in the right way. I'm not justifying it. So I feel bad because I realized I screwed up bad.
When did you realize that you made a mistake?
Probably about a week or two after I left. And I wanted to come back. I didn't know what to do. I mean, how do you do that? Do you know what I mean? What do I do? Call them up and go, guys, I really screwed up. Can I come back?
I would have had you back. I know that sounds crazy, but
I know you would have.
I would have absolutely.
Now
Did you know that after Greg Fitzsimmons went away, they just had me solo. They took away the night guy. I didn't have anybody running the board.
You had to run the board?
I had to do. I did the show for 2 months by myself.
The one thing I know from when we've talked is didn't your lung collapse and you end up like in the hospital? Like you had some bad things going on there.
My health was so bad that one day I woke up and I couldn't breathe and I couldn't come in, and I went to the hospital and they said, how many packs of cigarettes do you smoke a day? And
I told you all that going out to have cigarettes with me was going to kill you.
I guess they were right. And I said, I've actually never smoked cigarettes. And they said that I have the lung capacity of a 4-pack-a-day smoker. And my lung had collapsed and I was in the hospital. And I remember calling into the station and telling them I'm in the hospital because my lung collapsed. And they're like, well, we need you back or else.
Can you come in and voice track real quick? Right.
Can you deliver some pizzas? Can you voice track?
We got to deliver the pizzas. So let's end this on a happy note or a funny note.
God, please.
Okay, so let's talk about how this comes back to full circle, right?
Yeah.
I think about a year after all this went down. It was probably about a year. I was really into beer, and we used to do a segment about beer school. It was every Friday we'd get drunk. That was a happy Fridays. We'd get drunk on the air.
Yeah, we did an entire beer segment.
Early in the morning.
And it wasn't like some light, refreshing beer. It was like hardcore, hoppy, very alcoholic beer.
And we'd be out of the picnic table out back, like sloshed. We were trying to sober up so we could get home. And we'd have to get a ride. I bought some craft beer, and it was, I kid you not, it was called Yellow Snow IPA. And it was a giant bottle of it. Did
it have a dog on the label?
I don't remember. I just remember the name of it. I have to Google the label, and I had a few of them, and I said, and I mean, I got lit.
Yeah.
And I was like, I gotta call Cat or text Cat, and that was like it was the following November, and that's when I reached out, and that's when we started to inch back to talking again.
And it's all due to Yellow Snow.
Yellow Snow IPA.
And if they'd like to sponsor us,
yeah, this is what brought it. But I mean, really, because I realized, like I said, I carried that with me. I'm like, man, I screwed up. We had something good, and so many people were so disappointed in it. I mean, come on, we were both shit talking each other at that point because I deserved it, and we were both like, screw her, screw him.
Yeah, I said some things I'm not proud of.
Yeah, me too. But we needed to. I deserved it. All right, I deserved it. Absolutely. I just brought it up. The old label, it did have a guy with his arm around a dog on it, but the new label has a dog sniffing where it says Yellow Snow written out. So
is he doing the little circle?
Yeah.
Finding that good spot. There you go.
So there we go. We'll end on that note that I got drunk on Yellow Snow IPA and decided we got to fix this.
I am glad we're back, Darwin. I couldn't have a better friend and a better,
I agree,
and a better co-host.
Same. And I would say cheers, except for I can't drink right now because of my migraine medication. What are we? What has happened to us? I'm just glad you don't hate me forever.
I don't hate
killing
you.
our baby.
Our baby is still ugly, and I love it so.
It's a beautiful, ugly baby. All right, baby. Next episode will be it'll be funnier. It'll be funnier. There'll be less tears.
There'll be less head trauma and berets.
I can't guarantee less head trauma. I can't even talk.
30% fewer berets on the next show, but all the head trauma. Next time on Darwin and Cat. I think it was actually called Linda's Clam Shack.
Yeah.
You're right. The bar was out of our coverage area. And
You couldn't even hear our station there.
no, but do you remember what did come in on 104.9?
Yes, the complete opposite of what we were broadcasting.
It was Jesus.